Hi, welcome to another edition of our Success with People livecast. Today, you're in for a treat as we are going to be unveiling our authenticity amplifier with our real leadership framework. So, I'm Trevor E S Smith. I'm with the Success with People Academy, and I will be your guide as we share authentic leadership, leading with integrity and purpose, and how you will apply the authenticity amplifier. What is that? You'll find out in a minute. So, what's our agenda? As you know, we strive to be out of here in the region of 30, 35 minutes. We definitely don't go beyond 40 minutes. So, um, we will look at what is authentic leadership. We want to look at the authenticity amplifier, and we will be introducing our real leadership framework: reflect, engage, align, leverage. And then, of course, we want to examine, why are we talking about authentic leadership? Why is this relevant? We have two interesting case studies which will help you to deeper understand and to apply the authenticity amplifier in your leadership practice. And then, of course, we want to look at next steps. So, um, a definition. What is a definition of um, authentic leadership would be, and we're just going to use this is the one that I like. Authentic leadership is a practice of leading with integrity and purpose, embracing one's true self and inspiring others to do the same. It involves aligning your actions with your values, being transparent and genuine in your interactions. Also, fostering an environment of trust and authenticity. That's basically the goal. And the rationale behind this, of course, is that we have been looking at this whole issue of ethics, ethical behavior. The last time we spoke about the ethical revolution. And so that's the basis for continuing to look at things like authentic leadership, because that's a key pillar that we would need if we're going to have an ethical revolution. Now, the authenticity amplifier is built on two pillars, two powerful frameworks. The first one is the real leadership framework, and the second one is our discerning model of communication and leadership. It's really intriguing to see when the two of these things come together, how much of a difference it makes in how we are able to lead others. So we want to look at that and to see how we can actually drive increased productivity in your teams, deal with the vexed issue of employee engagement and retention, and of course, embracing the whole concept of authentic leadership. So, what is this authenticity amplifier? Really and truly, the authenticity amplifier is a concept that pulls together hours of formal education in the academic system, but also hours spent with the likes of Tony Robbins and Brendan Burchard and Rob Goyette and Evan Pagan and you name them. Thousands of dollars spent in these workshops, hours sitting on chairs, going through. So it's a melting pot of ideas, and even now I still go through Blinkist, getting new ideas. So yeah, so the authenticity amplifier is a reflection of my work, and with leaders, with teams, with individuals, looking at their behavioral styles, etc. So it really then I should ask why? What is the rationale behind it? Why is it there? Basically, I think if we look around, we could see that there are challenges in terms of leadership, that there are entities, there are leaders who do not seem to embrace the concept of integrity, authenticity, etc. And one of the things that we want to do then is to reintroduce, bring people back to the point of saying, hey, as leaders, we do need to lead with integrity. And we do need to help others to see themselves in the role of being authentic leaders, where we embrace in integrity, transparency, engagement, willingness to look at our vulnerabilities, willingness to go back to our values. So that's basically what this is. The goal is to bring back a conversation, but in practical terms now, as to what it is that we can do to be authentic, what it is that we can do to remove some of the doubts and the concerns that we have about ourselves, and to really be comfortable in ourselves as we lead. So authenticity amplifier then is really a sort of matrix. Maybe I should call it a melting pot of principles and concepts and frameworks that will help us to navigate through our challenges, that we can make real, genuine connections with others, and critically, we can inspire others through a sort of purpose-driven approach to leadership to be also authentic leaders in their own right. It's very critical that it is not just about ourselves. Authentic leadership is not just about ourselves. It's about what we can do to empower others to be authentic leaders in their own right. So I'm going to read the last sentence because I think it expresses it better than I can, share again, rewrite. Right? So in essence, the authenticity amplifier is a compass, right, that guides leaders on a path of authentic leadership, enabling them to unleash their true potential and make a lasting impact in their personal and professional lives. Yeah. So that's basically the idea. Right. So let's look at the real leadership framework. And it's an acronym. REAL stands for reflect, embrace, align, and leverage. And it is on those 4 pillars that the real framework is built. So let's look at it. And we're going to look at 2 case studies in a while. Right. So reflect on your track record to uncover your strengths, weaknesses, values, and beliefs. This first step is critical. We need to go back into ourselves, because if we want to be true, then we also need to understand what it is that we know about ourselves. So that reflection is important, that self-examination is important. And sometimes it depends on your philosophy. Sometimes people tend to be negative, and so they only see the weaknesses and the failures and the challenges that they have had, in which case I'm suggesting that when you do the reflection, that self-examination, that you tend to look more to what it is that you have done well. What are some of the strengths? What are some of the assets that you have? On the other side, if you tend to ignore your vulnerabilities, I'm suggesting that today, when you're doing this reflection, that you also look at mishaps, things that you could have done better, areas that you might need some work. So the whole idea here is to get to grips with really who you are. Forget what's happening outside and try and get to inside, who you are at your core. What is it that you believe? What is it you hold to be true? What is it that you have done well? What is it that you have struggled with? And I'm suggesting, of course, yes, you know that I work with behavioral assessments and have great confidence in these behavioral DNA analyses. And I'm suggesting that you could add granularity to your self-reflection by doing a leadership DNA assessment. Okay, straight up. Authenticity, there we go. So the other thing would be now the E is embrace. Embrace vulnerability as a leader. Yeah, you don't have to know everything. You can in fact have Achilles heels. So that's the whole idea. The more we as leaders accept vulnerability, things that we're not as comfortable with, areas in which we would prefer to have some of our direct reports guide us, lead us, areas in which we might want to go and get some advice. Embrace your vulnerability as a leader, and that will help people to trust you, and it will bring about transparency in the team. Because if the leader is willing to say, hey, I'm wrong, no, I made a mistake, then others will feel more comfortable doing the same. Right. The other thing is about feedback. How we give and receive feedback is also important. If we can create a safe space in which people can freely give and receive feedback, you're going to have better communication and greater levels of collaboration. As a matter of fact, it's actually even going to lead to greater innovation and creativity, because we would have created a psychological safe space for people. So engage also teammates by respecting their preferred communication style. You know, we talk about discerning, listening, discerning communication, where we actually look at the preferred behavioral styles of individual and try to communicate and interact with them, respecting how they hear, how they receive, and how they would prefer to give information. That's critical. So that's the E and the R. Right? So let's look at the align. And the align is critical. The align is critical. Why am I saying that? Because I'm going to give you an example. Let us say that my practice, part of who I am, is that I want to search the scriptures in the morning before I engage in other activities. So I want to, have go through a gratitude practice, giving thanks for my senses, all sorts of different things, and look at the scriptures. So let us say now I'm drifting. I notice that I haven't really gone into the scriptures 2-3 days. What's happening then? We might find that I didn't do my exercise regime either. And oh my gosh, my eating, I'm now eating some junk that I don't normally eat. That's what I'm talking about with an alignment. That sometimes the way that it works in life is that when one aspect of your life moves out of alignment, other areas follow. And so conceptually, if you can track and just identify any area that's not in line with your values, your beliefs, the systems that you have put in place, once one goes out of line, try to correct it quickly, because it's going to have a ripple effect and impact the other areas of your life. So that's what I'm suggesting, is that you keep an eye out for anything that's out of sync with who you hold yourself to be. Yes. So if you are supposed to meet deadlines, you like to do things well in advance, and you find that you are, last minute, trying to catch up. Look to see what it is, because there may be other areas that are out of sync as well. So the alignment in terms of the real leadership framework is important. Yeah. So as you lead, you need to then constantly focus on your values, what it is that you hold to be true, And also the purpose. What's the mission? What's the vision? What's your why? Have to have that kind of meaning. And if what you're doing is not aligned with your why, there's a disjoint. And maybe there's discomfort and you're getting distracted and maybe you need to be elsewhere. So, and I'm just suggesting that also if you're looking at your team, because when we're looking at authentic leadership, we're talking about leading others. I'm suggesting that you help others to function better by assigning roles and responsibilities that are in alignment with their behavioral preferences. Yeah. Ideally, you wouldn't want to have somebody who's right-handed, who's spending all day having to write with their left hand. And so basically, if I am not someone who's detail-oriented, why am I the one that is proofreading these long documents? That's what I mean. So if you can align, this is where the behavioral assessments and understanding behavioral styles come into your leadership, that you can actually have people function more effectively if you understand their preferences. So the leverage, what's the leverage? The leverage is everything, anything, any asset that you have. Let me give you some idea as to what we're talking about. It could be that you have a resource, some connection, maybe it's a cousin or an uncle or so who has ideas or who could provide you with insights. It could be that there's something that you were good at school. You have put that aside. I'm just saying, look at everything that you might have available and leverage that in order to be successful. Yes. Put your assets to use. That's it. Use your talents. Some of them are buried. Some of them you forget. Some of them you might even don't remember that you have or not realizing that you do have this asset. So score the field, go through your mind where you can try to see what is it that you have available. So, of course, you're going to use your understanding of the discerning style of the model of communication in order to interact with others. We are saying, you can speak to people in a way that get things done the first time and get it right. So you know how to give instructions, how to receive instructions, how to give feedback, how to receive feedback. Those are critical things. Yeah. And of course, being able then to speak to people as if you're in their shoes. You understand them, you understand how they want to be heard, you understand how they want to receive information, and you communicate to them in their preferred behavioral language. That's it. Real, reflect, embrace, align, and leverage. Okay, so as we said then, the authenticity amplifier stands on these two pillars: the discerning model of communication and leadership, and the real leadership framework. What are some of the advantages? Well, I think you could surmise from what we have discussed that you're going to have greater productivity, greater, you're going to have a more dynamic team, a more united team, and it's going to boost performance and productivity. There's going to be increased trust and engagement because we're coming from a place of transparency and authenticity. And of course, personal fulfillment and satisfaction. As a leader, because you're being your true self, you're going to feel better. You're going to want to go to work. And of course, people gravitate to that kind of leadership, so they're not going to leave. All of that high turnover rate. No, you're going to attract people because I want to come and work for this kind of leader, because this is an organization that values are important. Right? So creativity, I mentioned that because of the creation of this psychological safety, people feel free to put forward their ideas. Hey, here's a suggestion. Can we do this? So you don't have meetings where people are quite silent because they don't want to put forward a dumb idea. Everybody feels comfortable. Yes, no silly ideas. Trust and transparency. Because we make ourselves vulnerable, then people can trust us. People don't have to hide. People can actually say what it is that they need to say. Feedback then becomes real feedback, right? And of course, all of this then is going to build resilience because of the constructive feedback that we give. We fix things on a timely basis, and we are able to embrace new challenges and become more resilient. So the authenticity amplifier then is grounded, as we said, on the real leadership framework and on the discerning model of communication. And it's going to help you and lead us to reflect, to embrace, to align, and to leverage their authenticity for more impactful leadership. All right. So apply these, and you're going to find yourself creating a culture of trust, engagement, and increased alignment of teams with their mission. Case study. All right. 2 case studies quickly, and then you can, take this. All right. So I'm going to actually use my granddaughter, right, who is a competitive swimmer. So we're going to apply the framework to her. So the reflect. Now, she possesses strengths such as she has a great desire to excel. She wants to really be successful in all areas of her life, right? And she has a healthy belief. She believes in herself. So when she is using the reflect here, element of the authenticity amplifier, she can reflect on those strengths and she can embrace then those qualities to perform. And she usually exceeds the expectation. So that's where it is, because of my belief and because I want to excel. Each time I swim, I want to drop seconds. I want to drop milliseconds and seconds. That's part of what the reflection will do. I understand myself. I understand what it is that keeps me going, and I'm going to identify those things and build on that. The other one would be the embracing now, though, which is the other side, is that there are challenges when you're swimming competitively and you have this wide age range that you have to swim in. So you're going to come up against swimmers who are more advanced than you are. So winning is not always going to be a possibility. So one of the things she has to embrace then is how to handle losses, how to bounce back, from not being number one. And so those setbacks, she should see them as an opportunity to learn and to improve and to motivate her to get to consistently faster and faster. Then the whole question of the alignment again. Now, I remember the alignment is about making sure that there's consistency between your actions and your values and beliefs. And so discipline is a core part of her values. She's a Christian young lady, so she believes in discipline, but also discipline is critical if she's going to be successful in swimming competitively. So what that does when she understands that is that you must then embrace instructions from the coach and follow through. That's the other piece now. So to stay true to her authentic self, she needs to follow through with what the coach says. That's an alignment with the values. And then the leveraging. She can leverage her behavioral style. From early, I identified that she would have a preference for the D style, a dominance, driven, direct, decisive, goal-oriented, want to win, etc. So I use that to say to her, okay, I want you to hit this point, in the next race. And of course, she would come back and say, yeah, got it done. So that's one use of it. Let me talk about the case of Donna, another case study that's related now to the business environment. So Donna is a mid-level manager, and then she's struggling, of course, to balance her desire for excellence with what's going on in the workplace, how challenging that can be. Now, she's good. She does all her jobs to get everything done well. One challenge that she has is that she kind of not so comfortable speaking in public, so she dodges those opportunities. So she goes to a leadership development workshop and introduce her to authenticity amplifier. And she realized then that in order to lead authentically, she needs to embrace her unique strengths and vulnerabilities. So what are those? Right. So problem solving is her key. She can, solve problems, and love to solve problems. But she felt vulnerable in the area of public speaking. So using the real leadership framework, she decided to do the following. One, the reflection was, okay, fine. I accept, I understand my assets, and I also understand my weaknesses, right? So you can do the same when you are applying. What are your strengths and what are your areas for development? Politically correct now to talk about areas for development rather than weaknesses. So Donna decided that, okay, I understand I'm not comfortable with public speaking, but this is not, I'm embracing this. I understand it. This is common, I'm not the only person. So she then sought to find opportunities where she would actually seek out opportunities to present in public because she wanted to work on this area. So she made herself vulnerable by going up there. People could see that she is nervous, but yet that would be a learning opportunity. What truths about yourself do you need to embrace to get better results? Yeah. Or are we hiding behind, away from our challenges, our areas that we're not as good at? And then the alignment. Yeah. So her core values, which included integrity, transparency, and authenticity. Think about that. I'm not so concerned now that people recognize that I'm nervous because that's my true self. And so that's one of the things that she used then to be more credible, to have a greater level of trust because people realize that, hey, I'm doing this even though I'm not comfortable doing this. And you then can step out of your comfort zone and be vulnerable like me. What is it that is aligned to your values that you're stifling? There we go. So the leveraging, of course, would be that she uses the discerning level of communication to be able to communicate with people. Her dominant style, again, is her predominant preferences is dominance, in which case she uses her assertiveness and her directness, when she's communicating. Because sometimes when you're in a problem-solving mode, you don't have time for too much niceties. So you might need to communicate more directly. And so she embraced that. But she also understood that she needed to use the discerning listening now to hear people from where they are and to communicate to people in a style that they prefer. So over time, her authentic leadership style shone through. Right. So by embracing authenticity and also the authenticity amplifier and using the real leadership framework, Donna not only became more effective leader, but also found greater fulfillment in her work. That can happen to you as well. So these case studies highlight the practical application of the authenticity amplifier in real world scenarios. They demonstrate how if you're intentional in your self-reflection, if you are willing to embrace vulnerability, if you are willing to align, make sure that there's no misalignment between your actions and your values, if you are willing to leverage your communication style and all the assets that you have available, then inevitably you're going to grow and you're going to be more successful. Yes. And we know the pillars by now. I could ask a question, what are the pillars of the authenticity amplifier? One of the things would be the real leadership framework, which is reflect, embrace, align, and leverage. So my suggestion is that you reflect on your strengths, embrace your vulnerabilities, areas for development, right? Align your actions with your values and leverage your unique qualities as a leader. Yeah. Then you will see that there is a culture of trust, engagement, and alignment within your team. All right. Past my time. I mean, but yeah, we know that it is 30, a little bit beyond 30 minutes that we go. So we just want to talk quickly about the imposter syndrome, where sometimes leaders feel as if they're a fraud. I'm really not here. Just four quick things. One of them is go back, the same idea, that reflect of the real leadership framework, where you look at your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, and your belief system. And very focused now, though. Look at your accomplishments and celebrate your success. Manage your self-talk. Stop talking to yourself in negative ways. All right? Really accentuate positive. And then, of course, if you need to, get some support from colleagues and even mentors. All right? So that should do it. Next steps, I'm suggesting that there are 3 actions that you can take now. Work at applying the concepts that we have just learned. The neuroscience suggests somewhere like 67 days. I like to just say 90 days. Just practice daily some of the principles that you have learned here for the next 90 days. I'm suggesting also that you share a link. I think this is very useful information. If you share that, share the link to this live class with colleagues. And hear this, not only share the link, but try to see if you can set up a meeting to have some discussion. What do you think about this concept? How are you going to apply it? What does it mean? That way, you're going to reinforce it for yourself. The more you share and the more you pass on information, is the more that it registers with you and gets embedded in you. So I'm just suggesting that you share these concepts with someone Monday morning, all right, or over the weekend. And then let's have a conversation. Again, I'm open. I'm even willing to, at no cost, have a discussion with your team where we share the concept. It's a live session just like this. We get on Zoom and come in and share the concept and answer some questions around it. So send me an email at info@successwithpeople.org, or you can just WhatsApp me straight, 1-876-535-6677. I'm Trevor E S Smith. I'm with the Success with People Academy. The Success with People Academy is actually a SHRM recertification provider, which means that when we do training, we can provide certification that can be applied for SHRM, CP, or SCP recertification. Basically, it suggests that we operate at high international standards. Basically, that's what it is. And so we deploy our frameworks, we deploy authenticity amplifier, which is built upon the discerning model of communication and leadership and the real leadership framework. And that's what we use. We work with leaders, we work with teams, individuals, and organizations. So we also underpin a lot of this by using behavioral DNA assessments from Extended Disc and the Revolutionary Things platform. Let's have a conversation. Thank you for your time. And remember, take some action. All right.